Okay, today we're doing something risky. I'm going to build an entire preset in Helix. Full chain, amp, cab, effects, the works, but I'm not allowed to play a single note until I'm done. No monitoring, no testing, just intuition. Then we'll hit the first chord together and see if I've completely humiliated myself. All right, so here's the deal. I'm starting from scratch. No template, no safety net. I'm going to talk you through my thought process as I go, but I can't hear anything, not a note. Once it's done, then and only then will I plug in and let you hear it with me. All right, so here we are in HX Edit. You'll notice I have no guitar today. I will grab a guitar. I'm planning on probably grabbing my Gibson SG. I don't really try to think of presets as being guitar specific unless it's for a very special purpose. I like to kind of create presets that are going to work whether I'm playing a Strat, Les Paul, SG, whatever guitar. And again, I'm talking more for all-purpose build, not if I need a super high gain tone that's geared to one particular thing, but just a good utility type preset. So here we have our blank slate. I'm going to choose an amp, and I'm just going to come in and go with stuff that I really like in the Helix. So I'm going to go to the Brit Trem Norm. That's a real favorite of mine. And I'm going to obviously need a cab with that. So intuitively, I know that I really enjoy the Greenback 25 with this. So we'll just get this loaded up here first, and then I'll come back and make my settings. I'm going to head right to the end path here so I can utilize both paths in the Helix. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to go path 2A. So now I'm feeding the signal from this path into the bottom path, and I'm using both processors in the Helix. I love my LA Studio comp at the end of the chain. Notice I'm going to go make this stereo because I may have some stereo effects in here that I want to take full advantage of. I'm going to add the LA Studio comp, and I'm just going to come in here, like I said, and intuitively set this to where I think it's probably going to work the best. I'm then going to come in here. I'm going to bring in a stereo parametric EQ, not for the actual parametric EQ part, but I'm just going to bring in low and high cuts, and I'll bring in the low cuts at, let's start off with 90, and high cuts around, let's go 12K on this. I'm going to bring in a reverb, a real favorite of mine. I don't want anything too overbearing on this, so you'll notice I'm making these stereo. I'm going to come into the dynamic ambience, my favorite settings, 12-meter room. I'm going to have late 100, mix around 38%. That could go up a little bit or down a little bit. Let's go to 40%. I'm going to bring in a transistor tape because I absolutely love that effect in the Helix, making it stereo again. I always set mine so that it's set to a note value, so quarter note here. Feedback, let's go up around 28%. Mix is going to be right around 30, 31, 32. Let's go, we'll go 33%. Also making sure my trails are on, so if I do decide to use this with snapshots, I will have the spillover effect. I'm going to come in here and put in one of the most important blocks that I love to have basically in everything. And we can go mono or stereo here because basically this is just coming right after the mono amp. I'm going to put a low and high shelf. Now, my favorite settings on this are to set both low and high frequencies to the exact same 650 hertz. I come in here and I'm going to pull out 1.5 dB below all the frequencies below 650 hertz. I'm going to boost all the frequencies above by the same amount. And I find that that adds a really nice polish to almost any sound. It makes it a little bit more mix ready. It's really super subtle, and you can obviously adjust these things later. And keep in mind, I may have to make adjustments to this after. I just want to see how quickly I can throw together a bunch of blocks intuitively and have them come up with something that's going to be in the ballpark of a very usable tone, regardless of the guitar. So now, super important part. We've got our kind of sweeteners going here that are going to kind of make everything, a little bit nicer, let's say. But I'm going to come here now and on my cab and intuitively go to microphones that I really, really like. So the 121 ribbon, the 4038 is very nice. If we go with the 4038, we're probably going to have to pull that back a fair amount. I could just go with a 121 and pull it back a little bit less, or I could go with a 160 and kind of move it, maybe a little bit closer, but I am going to work on the cap edge or maybe just a little bit in from that. Let's do this. Let's go with the 121. I'm going to pull this back about 5.5 inches, and I'm going to, bring it a little bit closer towards the center. I'm going to come over to my amp here, and let's keep that drive on 10, get a nice punch out of that. And actually on this amp model, I'm going to crank up mids, treble, and presence. We'll start with the bass around 5. I'm going to bring that channel volume up so that we have a little more volume here. So basically, I feel like this is something that might work right away without actually changing anything. How about we grab a guitar and see what this sounds like? All right, here I am back with my Gibson SG as I had planned. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to start on the bridge pickup. Let's see how this sounds. If I move over to the neck pickup, I'm not unhappy with that. I'm not embarrassed. I don't think I embarrassed myself here. Now, would there be little tweaks I would make to it? Well, of course, because I mean, I was literally doing this just by intuition and blind. So I have no idea what it was really going to sound like. I would actually maybe come in here and just crank this bass all the way up. If I was going to make another tweak, maybe take this distance on the 121 a little closer. And maybe move it just so it's a little bit more towards the center of that cone. Neck pickup again. Let's see if this translates to other guitars. Here I'm with my beautiful 50s Fender Custom Shop on the bridge pickup. Neck pickup. Let's try another guitar. Now I have my beautiful PRS Custom 24 bridge pickup. Neck pickup. So I'm really liking that with a variety of different guitars. I'm actually really happy with that, and I had to make very subtle tweaks to get it back where I really want it. Now, for anybody who listens to that and goes, man, I find it a little too dark, or I find it a little too bright, that's where this beautiful shelf EQ comes into play. If we did find that a little dark, we could come in here and just give that high shelf a little boost up by maybe a dB or a dB and a half more. I kind of liked it where it was, where I set it at the beginning. And if we found the bottom a little bit thick, maybe we could bring that low shelf down. One other thing I would likely also do, which would be an incredibly difficult thing to set perfectly just by intuition, is come into the LA Studio Comp at the end and set the proper peak reduction. The amount of gain reduction we're going to get from this, which I want to be extremely subtle, is going to really depend on how much signal we put into it, as well as where this peak reduction setting is. So by setting the channel volume higher, we're going to hit the front of the compressor with more level, therefore we're going to get more compression. So depending on that, without listening, it's really hard to know. But right now, on what we were listening to, I would likely come in here and just bring that back a few notches. And I could always look down at my Helix to get the perfect setting. which would probably be more about there, about a dB to a dB and a half of gain reduction. I liked it before too. It had an ultra squishy sound to it, but I probably wouldn't leave it there. But just from an intuition setting, I was close. Now we got it dialed in perfectly, and that only took a few extra seconds after jumping back into things. So that was my intuition build. Let me know in the comments, how'd I do? What would you have added instead? And should I do this again, but maybe with a high gain tone? The links are below if you want to check out my full preset collections, including the new TNX series. I really thank you so much for watching. I'm going to leave you today with the full In The Mix demo of one of my latest presets. The link will be below for that. It's available at the Line 6 Marketplace. And grabbing that gets you some great tones and also helps support the channel and what I do here. And remember, always trust your ears, or in this case, your blind optimism. Until next time, ciao for now.